Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today is my co-host, Nick Kosko. Welcome back, Nick.
Hey, thank you very much. Looking forward to this little series we're going to launch off here today.
Absolutely. And what we're going to do, well, why don't you tell people what we're going to do here, Nick?
Well, the late R. Nelson Nash shared a lot of his gifts with us. He did it in a few different medias, and one of them was, I believe it was his last work, was a book called The Case for IBC that he wrote with two of his brilliant cohorts, Carlos Lara and the Dr. Robert Murphy, the esteemed economist, and they wrote this book together, The Case for IBC, How to Succeed from Our Current Monetary Regime, one household at a time. And you can find that at infinitebanking.org. But those guys, they put together this real simple book. A lot of people say, hey, Becoming Your Own Banker is a technical book, whatnot. We think it's a brilliant textbook, but this is just 7 stories in this book. It's 7 examples of how you can take control of the banking function in your life. And so what Jim and I are going to do over the next, we'll have some different episodes broken up in here. We'll have some guests and whatnot, but we're going to just go through each chapter of this book. And as Nelson said, it's all about how we think. And so just like right on cue, what we're going to do, the first example has to do with thinking like a business owner. And we're just going to walk through an example of how a business owner thinks about money. We're going to do this in a video format. It'll be on our YouTube channel. You can watch this. We got a presentation. And if you want to talk about it later on, schedule a meeting with us, and we're happy to answer your questions about it. But we've got a little PowerPoint here we're going to walk through. Jim's going to walk you through it. So without any further ado, Jim, why don't you take it away?
All right. Thank you, Nick. And Nick, if you remember, Nelson would always say that you need to be in 2 businesses.
That's right.
He would say it that way. The business that you are in to make a living, right? And the banking business.
Yep.
So when we think about this as a business, there's a reason why we're setting this up with the first chapter, because business owners tend to get infinite banking before other people, or in a bigger way than other people.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that in your career, Nick?
Absolutely. When we're talking to a business owner, we're not trying to convince them about taking ownership and being a business owner. We're showing them how to sharpen the tools, so to speak. But when it's just like me, when I first came into this, I really wasn't a business owner. And it wasn't by chance that Nelson starts off becoming your own banker with challenging the way you've thought up to that point.
Well, because business owners they think about cash flow, and they appreciate cash flow. And so Robert Kiyosaki, he tries to get people to think cash flow, right, with this great game, Cash Flow. But most people don't think about that. And they when they think of cash flow, all they think about is the cash flowing away from them. But we also have to account for the cash flow flowing to us, right?
That's right.
So let's jump into our business here. Okay, so we have XYZ company, and all businesses kind of work on a beginning and an end to the year. Now, nothing ever ends; it just kind of rolls. But there's a measurement, And again, we've had the great author of the 12-week year, Michael Lennington. Is that right?
That's right.
That's right. See, I had to think about that for a second just this morning. But we have, so we're going to look at this as 12 months. Okay. Now, most businesses, the small businesses, really run January to December, right? That's how they do their books. And a small business is a business under 500, but also, to run a business and really understand how this works, you need some employees, right? And we have a few businesses like this. Now, what's the goal? Profit, right?
Profit. Right.
Profit. And as the guys point out in the book, no good deed goes unpunished by the IRS. So if you have a profit, what else do you have?
You got the tax man.
You got the tax man, right? And the residual or net profit is really what we're after, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing about businesses. Most businesses are seasonal, right?
Rhythm to the business.
Yeah, so your sales and your revenue come in, and maybe you're in landscaping, or maybe you're building decks, maybe you're whatever it is, construction. Here in Florida, I can tell you they do not slow down on construction. But in up north, maybe in the middle, in South Dakota, I can tell you for sure there's not a lot of outdoor building going on in the middle of winter.
Well, and you got some businesses that he outlines in the book. They do 65% of their sales might happen in the last 2 months of the year. Like
You stole my next part of my slide, Nick.
I know. I was just it's
You got
part
to
of me
wait,
pushing.
Nick. You got to wait for the presentation to go along, right? But
That was the cue to hit next.
okay, I got it. I got it. So what happens though? We got to talk about how. So our money comes in, right? Our accounts receivables or ARs, they come in. The sales revenue, they come in not consistently.
That's right.
Now, seasonally, and I can give you many examples of this in the businesses that I'm involved in. But yeah, some businesses, as much as if you think of a business that really relies on Christmas or something like that, or it could be businesses in your town in Louisville, Kentucky, that might be surrounding the Derby. I mean, they're having a ton of their revenue coming in a short period of time.
That's right.
But as this comes in, or as that stuff comes in erratically, a lot of our expenses, the two that are one of the biggest expenses most businesses have are payroll and maybe rent. Now there's a lot of other expenses, but they tend to be more consistent, right? More right. Every month they come in. It's not like somebody's going to say, "Hey, why don't you just pay me in those really good months and I'll work the whole year," right?
Right. The landlord wants his check every month.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't we know that? Okay. So what that means is when you buy something, or when you sell something, right? And when you sell something, there's a transfer of ownership, but there's not always there's very rarely immediate payment. In fact, you're really extending credit to your customers that you're selling stuff to, right?
Yeah. Just like the guy that was sitting here doing work at my house the last 2 weeks. He hasn't paid me yet, but he's certainly done a lot of work.
Right. So it could be 30, 60, even 90 days.
Yeah.
And some of those questions or some of those conversations after 90 days can get pretty tense, right? Now, here's the other thing. You also have payables, right? You have accounts payable that you need your suppliers, like how you get stuff to sell or perform your whatever your company does to for the ultimate the consumer or whoever you're selling to. But you have to go get these things that you're selling to your customer, right?
Right.
Now, when we do that, they'll normally, again, there's a transfer of ownership, right?
Yeah.
And they become a creditor of ours. So we have people that we owe money, and they have, and there are people that owe us money. And it's that dance of, hey, well, we haven't gotten paid, so we can't pay you. That doesn't go over very well in business.
No, you talk to a business owner and it's like their whole universe is wrapped around the seesaw of ARs and APs, and you just use those two terms right there with a business owner, and you're going to find out how good their cash flow is by how stressed they get when you bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that's where really where accounting comes in, and making sure that we have the right people on the bus, right? And one of the things that we end up doing because of this dance is we end up getting some kind of credit for our merchandise, right?
Yeah.
To go buy merchandise or whatever it is. Now, though, like I said, sometimes they'll give us 30 days, but we're going to need to manage cash flow. We believe we need a commercial bank, and commercial banks are going to give us what we really want, our lines of credit.
Yep.
And sometimes they're loans, like on equipment loans and things like that. But for cash flow management, we go down and we put our, we go down and we hire a commercial bank, right? Now, here's a couple of things about that. Lines of credit, there aren't any terms, right? They just expect you to pay down that line of credit. What happens if you don't pay down the line of credit?
They may convert that thing to a note.
That's right. Or what else would they do?
Call it.
All it. And they when they convert it to notes, if you're really in trouble, but you're somebody that your company's in trouble, but you're somebody that have assets, they may want personal guarantees on your personal assets, everything else, which, most business owners, including myself, don't want to put a personal guarantee and risk our personal assets for the business, right?
That's right.
Here's the other thing. They want you to take all of your revenues and your ARs and put it in their bank.
Yep.
Now, if you haven't watched our video on how banks make money, and that doesn't make sense to you, or you don't go, yeah, well, we know why they want to do that because I've watched the video. If you watch that video, you'll see why they want to do that.
That's right.
Okay. So if you think about it, that merchandise, there could be liens against that, right? It could be like if it were land or property that, your merchandise could back up that loan is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
For the personal bank, or for the commercial bank, not the personal bank. It could be your personal guarantee, right? You have a lot of assets or you have a lot of income. They're going to want that maybe. They'll take your equipment. So the bottom line is, in a bankruptcy, the bank is a secured creditor. They're not going to give you more money than all of these things added up, right? They're going to make sure that they've got their money.
Sure.
Now, the supplier, they're unsecured creditors. And in a bankruptcy, they might get a few pennies on the dollar, 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar, but they're not going to get all of their money back.
No,
right?
no, they're almost never made whole.
So if we need this bank, right? But then when we employ the bank, then the bank really has this big hammer over our heads, and they are the gatekeeper and toll taker, meaning they're going to charge us for that, right? And they decide if we get to stay in business or not. It's not a great position to be in.
Yeah, they've basically pierced your business. The banks, like Nelson said, banking is only the most important business in the world. They're incredibly profitable. It is not by chance. And there's a lot of people. I mean, we have some great clients / friends that I've gotten random texts. Man, the bank's evil.
Right.
And
right.
You'd hear Nelson say those things. I just try not to let that stuff bother me. But it's if you're a business owner and the bank's got a gun to your head, they're gonna win. They're coming after you, right? And it's heavy and it's burdensome.
All right. So what if there was an alternative bank for loans that actually you designed in lines of credit? But with this bank, there's some advantages. There's tax benefits. The loan terms are flexible, and you actually decide those. It pays a lot more interest and dividends to you, this bank, right? And you control it. You have liquidity, use, and control. Now, normally that's what the bank has.
Yeah.
Right. So what could be an objection to this bank?
I don't know. You got to be in charge. I don't know. It sounds peaceful to me.
Well, it does sound peaceful. So, like, let's say in this bank, by the way, nobody's ever going to try to collect any money from you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of crazy? Nobody's going to put a gun to your head. Nobody's going to have the hammer over your head. Okay.
So when you want a loan from this, you don't ask for it, you tell them, right?
Yeah, because you are in control of the bank,
Yeah.
right? You've become your own banker.
So
All
that
right. So here's what some people would say, Nick, is they would say, but when I put my money in a commercial bank, it's protected,
mm,
it's insured. And they
yeah.
look at 2008 and 2009 when these banks had a lot of problems and they say, look, I'm going to be okay. They're going to take care of me. They're going to make sure I get my money. But they have to read the laws, right? And basically, we've said no more.
So you read you were up last night reading the Dodd-Frank Act, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
All
It was yeah.
basically what it said in there, people got fed up after '08. Like you just have a conversation with someone, they're like, oh, we bailed out the banks. Well, what the Dodd-Frank Act says, basically we're not going to bail out the banks with the US tax dollar money again.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible? Sure, but that's not what the act says. They're not going to.
Yeah.
And so what you're going to lay out here is, hey, the consequences of that not happening.
Yeah, but Nick, $88 billion is a lot of money in the FDIC reserve, right?
Right.
But guess what, Nick? It's backing up the total deposits. Now, by the way, these are older numbers. These are from 2017. But the
Yeah.
total US bank deposits insured $7.1 trillion. So that means a little bit more than 1% is insured.
Yeah.
Are you confident that you'd be in that one little bit more than 1%?
So basically, here's what Dodd-Frank said. It said, hey, when you are a stockholder of the bank or you're a
Yeah,
depositor of the bank, you are an unsecured creditor.
that's right.
And so just know that while in '08, no banks became insolvent because they were able to bail them out. If the laws followed and banks became insolvent, some banks became insolvent in the next banking crisis, there's not going to be a bailout. So guess who they turn to? They turn to, most of us don't own a bank, but a commercial bank. So the depositors we're going to be the ones holding the empty bag.
They're the creditors, right? And
Yeah.
so, here's the thing that I think about. Okay, so this alternative bank that we're talking about is obviously infinite banking and infinite banking concept discovered by R. Nelson Nash. And the thing that's cool about it is we can't get in trouble, but we can use it in the same way, right, as the commercial bank. Now, it does take time and it does take coaching. And, Nick, I think that's probably enough for chapter one.
Yeah.
But if this intrigues you to want to have a meeting and discover how you can either use this in your business or become and start thinking like a business owner, which everybody who's listening to this podcast needs to do, go to createtailwind.com. There's a button there to schedule a meeting, and hit that button, watch the videos, go to our YouTube channel, Create Tailwind, and really start to open up your mind to this. Because as business owners, we don't go out and buy instruments like mutual funds and Wall Street investments. We buy assets. Okay, assets, businesses, could be real estate, etc. But this alternative bank, that's what we're telling you to buy and to set up and to use and to grow. And as you do that, you're going to grow your life, your family's life, and your business if you're in another business as well. But to go back to the beginning, you need to be in two businesses, as Nelson always said: the business that you're in and the banking business. Nick, any famous last words?
No, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. Hey, like I said earlier, go to infinitebanking.org, get yourself a copy of the case for IBC. Fantastic. Also, Carlos Laura and Dr. Murphy have their own podcast called the Laura the Laura Murphy Show. They also have a thing called the Laura Murphy Report, which you can get some of those articles from us, just reach out to us if there's anything you want to see. But I just want to thank them for putting together this this great little book, and we'll do our best to share it over this coming series.
Absolutely. And this graph that's on the video, Carlos Laura actually draws this freehand in during the meeting, and we had somebody create this, Nick, and Carlos really liked it. He said, I don't use slides, because I said I need those slides because this is so important. This message is so important. And every business owner that we work with, we show them this. So I'm really excited to dive further into the book as well. I really thank everybody that wrote the book, and Carlos, thank you for letting us use your drawing here and making it a PowerPoint, which it's one of my favorite PowerPoints because it's so direct and clean. So it doesn't look clean right there, but as it builds, it is. So Nick, all right. You know, one of the things that as a business owner we do is we break away from the herd. And anybody that stays in the herd, nothing good happens in the herd, right? It's kind of like nothing good happens in the hood. Nothing good happens in the herd.
Only the dead fish go with the flow, man.
That's right. Dead fish go with the flow. I think we'll wrap it up on that. Nick, thank you for being here. Until next time, audience, break away.